Well, good evening. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. I am Brendan Gartner. I'm the Chief of Operations for Onslow County Schools, and we're here to talk about the realignment that's going to happen because of the opening of the Woodland Elementary School in 25-26. Presentation is about 10 minutes long, but really the purpose here tonight is to get feedback from you that I can share with the board before they make their final decisions, and any concerns that you may have, any questions you may have about this. So majority of the time will be yours tonight, but I do kind of want to give you some of the rationale for what we're doing and why we're doing it and how these lines were chosen and things like that. So it kind of make you be a little more informed as the public. So Woodland Elementary is scheduled to open in 25-26, August 25, if you've not driven down Belgrade-Swansboro Road, which is where it's going to be, about 7 miles north of Silverdale, up towards Maysville. It's going to allow us, opening this new school is going to make room in other districts. It's going to allow us to ease some of the overcrowding of our capacities at some of our other elementary schools, Swansboro Elementary, Queens Creek, Morton, and Silverdale, which are some of our schools that are over capacity. A couple of things that are important, that only the elementary school will be affected by this. Your child will still go to the same middle school, your child will still go to the same high school. None of that is changing. So if you have a history in your family of being a Viking, you're still going to be a Viking. That's not going to change. Only the elementary schools are changing. And once again, this is not happening till the 25-26 school year. This is not next year. So we like to get in front of it and give people plenty of time to make these changes, to get ready for these changes. So Morton currently is sitting at 102% of its capacity. It was built to hold a certain number of students. Right now they are serving more students than it was built to accommodate. Presents all kinds of issues as far as class size, cafeteria, things like that can create problems. And this is going to allow us to address some of those issues. And one of the things you want to be responsible with, let's face it, I mean, when the school system spends money, it's your money. So we want to be responsible stewards of the public funds. And so when we can ease overcrowding by using space at local districts, that is the most responsible thing for us to do. We know it's not an easy thing to do. It's not something we take lightly. We know these things they can be disruptive to families, especially in a town like Jacksonville, Onslow County. I mean, we're a military town. We're already transitional, or transient rather, and so we run into some of those issues. I certainly sympathize with that. My wife was a military brat. I went to 5 different elementary schools when I went for different reasons, so I know how disruptive it can be. It's not something we take lightly. It's something we put a lot of thought into. So when we look at redistricting, we decide in this case, it was simply the construction of a new school. I go to the board and I say I'd like to work on redistricting so we can accommodate for our new school. And we look at many different factors. We work with NC State on this. They're the ones that help us draw these maps. We look at all kinds of things like student population forecasts, enrollment forecasts. We do 10-year forecasts with NC State, and they're actually surprisingly accurate most of the time. We look at local growth data. Where's the construction happening? Where are these houses going up? What new subdivisions are planned in the future? Efficiency and travel times. I was talking with Ms. Sue over here, and we were talking about efficiency and what that map looks like and travel times and things like that. We also look at the capacity of the school and how they can handle. We also look at things like trying not to split neighborhoods where we can. We like to keep that cohesion. We look at things where, has this neighborhood been redistricted recently? We don't want to do that again to people if we can help that. Once that happens, I go out to the board. I said, here's our map NC State provides to us. Make some changes to it. The next people who look at it before even taking it to the board is our transportation department. They look at it and say, well, it's going to be more efficient if you put this line here. There's some turnarounds here we could use, or you're going to shorten bus times for this group of kids if we include that. And then I take that to the board and say, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to come out and get some public comment, and that's where we are at this stage tonight. I'm going to kind of show you a little bit of what we're talking about with the change. I know it's hard to see up there. We have the maps over here. These are the districts that are going to be affected. So this, all this surrounded in red right here is currently Morton's district. What we're proposing is to shrink it, and what is in this orange tan color down here will be the new Morton district, and what is in purple is going to be going to the new Woodland Elementary. So we're looking at a lot of what's on Grange Creek Road, and then Pumpkin Center, Halltown Road, Regalwood, places like that, going to the new school. This is kind of a close-up because this is the largest population area that it's going to affect. Like I said, we got Wolf Swamp, Thomas Humphrey Road, Halltown Road. That group is proposed to move over to Woodland. The rest will be remaining at Morton Elementary School. Once we get public comment, I share all this information with the board, and then at their next meeting on May 7th, they'll be making a final decision on what these maps look like. And again, it's for the 25-26 school year. What this change is going to allow us to do at Morton is going to take it from 102% capacity down to 77% capacity. So about a 25% reduction in school population. It's going to reduce class sizes. It'll make instruction a lot more effective. And it's just, in general, having those smaller class sizes and smaller student populations is a benefit, and still leaving room for additional growth moving forward. And again, just to reiterate, middle and high schools are not going to change, and this is still a year and a half out before this change actually comes into effect. And that is the entire presentation. So like I said, this time is really about you and sharing your thoughts so I can share those with the board. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Or yes, ma'am.
What will the capacity for Woodlands be when it opens?
840. And based on all these movements that we're doing, I believe it is going to open at 81% capacity. So again, we know that there's a lot of construction going in the Belgrade-Spawnsboro area, so it's going to leave room for growth in that as well. Woodland is going to be a 109,000 square foot school. If you're familiar with Clearview, Richlands Elementary, Coastal Elementary, it's the same footprint. This will be the fourth one we've used, and it's a very efficient design. Our teachers like it, our principals like it, our families like it. It's a very simple design, but it's very, very effective for instruction. Yes, ma'am.
When you're thinking about growth at Woodlands, or you said even at Morton, there's still some room for potential growth. Mm-hmm. Has the officials looked at what that actually looks like? Are there capacities to build large neighborhoods again, and we would be back at the same situation in a short amount of time? There
is that. So when we're looking at these, when we have these discussions, we're also talking to the county planners. So we are very aware of the building that's going on. We know that in the next few years, we're looking at, by 2030, we're looking for, Town Point off of Rocky Run is going to be an enormous neighborhood. Down in Sneed's Ferry, there's a significant amount of construction in there. We do expect that once Woodland opens, you're going to see a lot more construction along the Swansboro-Belgrade Road area, just like is happening at Clearview. I mean, that was all farmers field. There's already subdivision going up behind the school. There's another one planning to go up in front of it. So we know that when you build a school, you encourage construction. People want to, they want to live near a neighborhood school, and that's fine. So yeah, when we're looking at these, and that's why when we're putting the schools in places where we know there's going to be growth, and that's why we do these to adjust these populations to make room, because we know there's more growth coming. It's Onslow County, and our county commissioners are great. They know that they're approving these projects, and they know that they're going to have to build other things, and that includes new schools to help accommodate the growth that we have. It's a great problem to have. It means strong economy for Onslow County, but it does create some issues, as far as school construction and some other things.
I have another question about, like here at Morton, I've had kids who came here years ago. One of them is 26 now. I like when I came back to Morton that they have built they have a window up front, and traffic coming here, they're stopped right there. Mm-hmm. And you remain there until the child comes out. I like that there's not a lot of traffic going in and out. I haven't seen the other schools and how they're laid out. How are they laid out as far as safety?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that, because we really are building these schools now with safety in mind. That's a huge piece that we're looking at. I mean, when you look at some of our older schools, like Morton, where all these different pods, it's difficult. It's difficult for safety. I think this one, Parkwood and Summersville, they're all the same. And even, we're doing things here, like, I don't know, we changed all the doors because they have these big plate glass and that's just not safe. So we've gone through, we've changed the doors to help increase security here. For the new school, just as an example, what you're talking about arrival, when we have a visitor come in, these new schools have a vestibule. So you're buzzed into the front door. You are between now two doors. You're in an enclosed area. The only place you have to go, then you can be buzzed into the office. And then you can't get back out of the office. You can't get into the main building until you're buzzed into the main building. So that is one thing we've done. So the entrance, I hit the button, I come in. The only place I can go now is the office once they let me into the office. So absolutely, that's something we're building with that in mind. Absolutely.
Okay. So a lot of the schools, I used to work for the county school, so a lot of the schools, when they're built, very shortly after, they have the temporary buildings on campus.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen the newer schools, and so my concern is if we have a main building that has that security, but we start to put up the temporary buildings, what are we thinking about that as far as safety?
That does bring out unique challenges. Now, those mobile units, they're locked and all those things. They are generally going to be placed close enough to entrances, so like severe weather, something kids can be brought in very quickly into the building. And it is a challenge, it is a concern. It really does depend on the area. I can tell you that we are moving mobile units to Coastal already, and that opened in 2020, I believe. But just, that Sneed's Ferry is growing, probably the fastest growing area of the county. But Richlands Elementary, same school, same footprint, it doesn't need those mobile units. Clearview doesn't need those mobile units. So it really just depends on the area. And no, that's another reason for building new schools is mobile units are not ideal. They're just not ideal learning environments. There are other issues where students have to come in and out of the building to get to areas where you'd prefer for them to be just contained in one area. So, that is a challenge, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
To piggyback off of the temporary, the mobile unit, by building a new school, getting capacity down here at Morton, are we looking at getting rid of those mobile units?
Potentially. We haven't had those discussions yet. It depends on the mobile units. Some of them we can, some of them we can't move. So I don't know if Morton has any federally owned ones. So Head Start, preschool.
They have the EC.
The EC one should be fine, but if they have a Head Start one or a preschool, those we can't move. But if we don't need them here and we need them somewhere else, we will if we have to. We prefer not to move them if we don't have to because they're expensive to move. But like we're moving to Coastal Elementary this year, and we're taking them from Northwoods Park Middle, who doesn't need them anymore. So yes, if we need them somewhere else, we'll certainly move them. Otherwise, they'll stay here. We'll maintain them, keep them heated, cooled, and all that, so they remain in case we need them again. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
On the zones on the map.
Yes.
I know that the zone comes way up Grants Creek Road, and we live like a mile and a half down the road, but we'll be sent to Woodlands.
Okay.
Is that map like hard, fast?
No.
If they're both going to be at 70 and 80-ish%, 70 and 80?
No, none of these maps are set in stone. That's why I'm here collecting public comment. That if there's changes that you would like the board to consider, that's why we're taking these comments. So these aren't official until the board meets and votes, and they could say we're going to make this change, that change. But there are other avenues for if you wanted to remain at a school, if you had a particular hardship where you can't be moved.
Right.
There's a process for that as well.
Okay. And then also, I know a lot of the elementary schools have before and after care. I assume this school will have that as well.
Haven't had that discussion yet with the Y or with County Parks and Rec probably out there, but that is something that would look into, absolutely. We know that's important for a lot of our, we have young families, for elementary, so we know that's important for them. Any other questions, comments? Yes, ma'am.
So how will that affect the busing? Right now, we're so short with buses and...
So we're always hiring bus drivers.
You guys have a recruiting plan?
Yeah. So, but the thing is that for this, it's not, it's just a reallocation because it's still the same number of students. We're not adding, we're just taking from here and there so we can take bus drivers from here and there. So we're not going to, it's not going to put us in a lurch as far as, well, we open a school. You open a school, we're going to need, 40, 50, 60 staff members. But bus drivers, we're just really moving them from one area to another. So it doesn't really affect that as much. Is that correct, Ms. Sue?
Well, as long as all the bus drivers return it.
Well, that's true, yeah.
We
But
have some doing double.
yeah, we have them.
At all my elementaries,
Yeah.
they're doing double right now.
In theory, put it that way. In theory, no, because we're just shifting pieces around. Say you have 10 bus drivers at Morton, 10 bus drivers at Silverdale. Well, now, which that might only be all we have. So, yeah.
Calm down.
So you take 5 bus drivers, 3 bus drivers from Morton, 3 bus drivers from Silverdale, and they go to.
That's all.
I'm just using easy numbers.
ATV only has 4.
That's the 3 that are late.
Yeah. So yes, it's not helping with the bus driver shortage. At the end of the day, we are still short bus drivers, but we're not creating new positions that need to be filled. They're existing positions that still need to be filled.
But if they're putting those developments and all, and we get a lot more children, that would be creating.
Then
more,
we're
right?
going to need,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And that's going to happen. As
Right.
Onslow County's population is going to continue to grow, it's going to leave us in those same problems.
Okay.
But like I said, good problem to have.
Yeah.
Because there are districts where they're consolidating schools, they're closing schools, the economies are shrinking. So it's a great problem to have. And I do know that the county is working very hard to create kind of they call it Horizons 2030 or 2040, I believe. And it's really carefully planning out Onslow County's future to make sure that we continue that growth, but in a way that's sustainable. They're doing a great job, they really are.
So if y'all know anybody that's interested in driving a school bus, please have them apply.
Absolutely, thank you, ma'am. Any other questions? Well, at the back table, if you want to leave anything written that I can pass on to the board, they're going to get all those comments. Anything else, this will be posted, this is recorded, it's public. Yes, ma'am?
Just one last thing. If your kids have gone to, is there any, like for 5th graders or anything, any grandfathered in or no?
I would expect. Now, the board is going to make that decision, but that has been our practice.
And what were the grades, would it be, you think?
5th grade.
5th grade.
So if your child's in 3rd grade now, that when this change is made, you're probably going to be given the option to have them remain here at Morton, if you can provide your own transportation. It's what we did. We did that same thing with Clearview when that opened. We did the same thing. We did a redistricting last year with Dixon High School and Southwest High School that seniors could stay at Dixon if they chose. Yeah. So I would expect that would probably be, since it's been our practice in the past. Can't make any promises, but it is something that I will recommend. Yes, ma'am.
What about on the opposite side, instead of 5th graders, kindergarten? My son's preschool right now. He's going to be going to kindergarten at Lawnsboro,
Okay.
and then the district's going to hit and he will play the rest of elementary at Silverdale.
Okay.
Is there any way we could shift it so he could start at Silverdale?
Yes, that is something that is also, that if you can provide your own transportation, that's something we have also said that absolutely, that if you'd rather just get ahead of it, then it'd be less traumatic for your child. It's a great idea that you can apply out of district. I'm supposed to be going to Silverdale anyway. I want to get my kids started there. Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, like I said, there's written. If you want to leave any written feedback, please in the back. Please leave that. I'll pass that on to the board, and I thank you guys for coming. If you have any other questions, any other concerns, there's an email address that you can use that you can send and just give up to 2 business days, but you will get a response, I promise you that. And these emails will also be passed to the board. If you don't have that written down, there's a link right on the web page where you can just click on that and get right to that email address to leave any additional feedback that you may want to.
Thank you. One more question.
Sure.
When will the meeting be with the board?
May 7th.
May 7th?
Tuesday, May 7th. Yes, ma'am, begins at 6.
And that'll be when they finalize the
Mhm.
thing? Oh, cool.
Well, it's when I'm going to present the final stuff to the board. And it's at the Regional Skills Center. And actually, I think this one starts, the main meeting starts at 6. I believe there's a budget meeting at 5:30 starting beforehand to give the public any opportunities to comment on the budget. But the real business meeting starts at 6 o'clock. So, and if you want to sign up to speak or anything like that, you want to be there early. As long as you're there, you have to be signed up to speak within 10 minutes of 6 o'clock. So you want to get up early to be able to sign up to speak if you want to do that.
Has staffing already been?
No. Staffing will be handled by the new principal once they're picked for the school. The principal will do. No. That will happen probably in the springtime before the school opens. So spring of 25, the new principal is selected. Yeah. So the principal will be able to make all those decisions on hiring for the new staff. The new principal gets all kinds of. They get to pick like school colors, mascot, and all that kind of stuff. They get to have all the fun. All right. Thank you guys very much. Thank you again for coming. I really appreciate it. Have a great evening. Thank you.